You are listening to the Well Connected Twin Cities podcast. I'm your host, Cynthia Shockley, and I'm here to learn alongside you through meaningful conversations with health and wellness practitioners. This is your time to experience some mindset shifts, learn practical tips, and get excited about what is possible. We want you to own the power of choice in your personal well-being journey. Let's discover what's possible right here in our Twin Cities community. In today's episode, I speak with Dr. Susan Quigley about SuNu Wellness Center. SuNu Wellness Center really has this radical health clinic model for whole person care. Dr. Susan talks about the mission of SuNu and how the clinic is living into that mission today. Dr. Susan Quigley is the owner and founder of SuNu Wellness Center. She received her bachelor's degree in biology and human physiology at Northern Michigan University. In 2009, Susan obtained her Doctorate of Chiropractic from Northwestern Health Sciences University in Bloomington, Minnesota. Dr. Susan has expanded her knowledge through hands-on training and seminars with the International Chiropractic Pediatric Association and is also certified in Breech Balancing Technique through Northern Lights Wellness Professional Education and the Webster Technique. She has also had additional training with Gail, Tully of Spinning Babies. Additionally, Dr. Susan has trained in quantum integration technique, a muscle testing practice that can help chiropractic adjustments by supporting the different organ systems of the body. She is driven to empower and educate her clients on the importance of self-care and using food as medicine to heal. She is passionate about achieving a balanced nervous system through chiropractic care in combination with other modalities. SuNu Wellness Center has been her lifelong dream to form a collaborative of skillful and genuine practitioners where healing is the primary intention. Dr. Susan is so proud of the space that SuNu has become, beautiful, sacred, and full of heart. When not at SuNu, she is studying the healing arts, working in her regenerative garden, or spending time in nature. She enjoys biking around the lakes, taking hikes in the woods, being on her yoga mat, and traveling with her family. And here we are with Dr. Susan Quigley. So good to see you again.
Thanks so much for having me. So grateful to be a part of this community.
I'm so grateful to have you here and to have SuNu as a part of the well-connected community. You guys are living into the vision of what this can look like when we all put our heads together and we work collaboratively. I'm really excited to dig into some of these questions that I have, just so that we can all learn a little more about you and SuNu and the larger mission. Before we get started, I want to first ask a personal question because, gosh, with the new year, there's always that question of realigning, reevaluating. So what has been a value of yours that you've been prioritizing lately?
I love this question, and I like to set kind of themes at the beginning of the year. So a couple themes and values that I'm prioritizing for 2024 are collaboration, which fits right in line with this conversation, alignment, and coherence.
Oh, tell me a little more about coherence.
So recently I've been studying a lot with frequency medicine, and really I've been doing this work for a while with like muscle testing, quantum integration, but more recently I'm really digging into a little bit more in the quantum field. And coherence just means when our bioenergetic field is in alignment, or when it's in the wavelength where we get to be our most vibrant version of ourselves.
Oh, I love that. Coherence.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was like, what? That was a new word for me in terms of a value. So I really appreciate you sharing that. So you're doing some more learning because you are just a forever learner of all the things that you can do to support your patients. And I really appreciate that about you. You are first and foremost a chiropractor. So let's start there. And why don't you share what inspired you to become a chiropractor?
Yeah, I get this question a lot. So chiropractic was really a huge influence on my own health, as many practitioners have a story like that. I was lucky enough to be brought to a chiropractor when I was 2. My feet were really pigeon-toed, pointed inward, and Western medicine and like the pediatrician just didn't have a lot of options besides like bracing or surgery. And my parents didn't know a lot about it, but someone had recommended that we try that. And it was literally like one adjustment of my pelvis and my feet just straightened out, my hips straightened out. And it was just such a game changer for my parents to see like we could have this as our first stop instead of oftentimes it's people's last resort. So we just ended up seeing our local small town chiropractor for different things that came up with my brothers. One had ear infections, was able to avoid tubes in the ears with a few really gentle adjustments. My other brother had some asthma and some other health issues. And so we just always went to see our chiropractor first. And that's just how I grew up. So it's always been really just like a part of my lifestyle, which I feel really grateful for. In the 80s and 90s, it wasn't quite as mainstream as it is becoming now. And then even in my teenage years, we ended up seeing another chiropractor that did a lot of nutrition and muscle testing. I had severe endometriosis and some hormone stuff as a teenager, and nutrition was really the thing that turned it around. And so that's really when I started to be inspired. I could do this as a career and kind of led me to that direction. When I started my doctorate program, I just knew I wanted to incorporate nutrition with the chiropractic piece because it was so critical for my own journey. And in my first job out of school, I found myself expecting my first baby, which was a surprise because Western medicine doctors had told me it'd be really challenging to conceive and that there'd be fertility issues and things like that. So we were surprised and just so excited to overcome that challenge with ease and continued the chiropractic care, which allowed me to have a home birth and just such ease in the pregnancy world. I wouldn't have guessed based on my experience or what I'd been told before. So just really solidified my confidence in the holistic work that I was doing. So with a 2-month-old baby, I started my own brand and business, and SuNu means new beginnings, and it was a new beginning for me in all the ways. First time as a business owner, first time becoming a parent, and was just really fortunate to find this lovely space in Minnetonka, just this really healing setting surrounded by this wonderful community. And that was in 2011. And since then, we've grown to include 36 staff members and another location in Linden Hills.
Amazing. And I feel like there's got to be some magic to this wild decision to start a business as you start a family at the same time. Because I know that happened with Alex, the owner of Well
Yeah,
Connected, as well.
yeah. It's maybe not what we would recommend, but we did it. We're in it. We have this story to share, and there's definitely some magic to that.
Yeah, I love that. And it's new beginnings. And gosh, you've really built this into something amazing. And I know it's been a collaborative process. What would you say is the mission of SuNu Wellness, and how is the clinic living into that mission today?
That's a good question. When we set out all those years ago, our mission was, and really still is, striving to provide this environment that feels safe and welcoming and encouraging our client community to visit as often as they need and to stay a while. We really did set out to have this collaborative team that is really nurturing and that are amazing listeners and really customizing every visit so that they feel renewed, refreshed, full of hope. I'm hopeful that is how we're still doing it because that's still our intention. And really, from the beginning, we continue to learn, as you mentioned at the start of this, and grow together and constantly are coming back to our pillars. So, the pillars that SuNu is really built on: commitment, trust, honesty, empathy, gratitude, awareness, collaboration, service, personal growth, and personal responsibility. So, we use those metrics in our culture. And I really feel like I'm living my true purpose with this and really feel aligned with the mission. And just with the last few years and the just collective grief in the world, I feel really fortunate to have this as a tool. And this is my medicine. And really, my hope is that it ripples out in a positive way for a global impact on the vibration of humanity.
I love that. Being able to really live into this truth and trusting that it does have a ripple effect. SuNu presents with such a radical model for what a health clinic can be. So you shared already, there's nearly 40 practitioners, and I know that there's just a wide array of modalities that are offered. Can you share what makes SuNu different from not only the traditional Western model health clinic, but even other holistic health and wellness clinics?
Feedback that we get from our clients and our community is that SuNu really does feel like a safe space where folks feel welcomed, they're listened to, our providers genuinely care. We really try to partner and empower our clients to seek out what the best version of health looks like for them, and then try to tailor that cohesive plan to meet our wellness goals together. So services that we offer might be, some of them are similar to what you might find in a holistic health and wellness clinic, and some might be a little bit more expanded or a little bit different with the range of backgrounds and training that our practitioners have. We have chiropractic, of course. Chiropractic's literally the backbone of the business, but something that makes us a little different. We see pediatric care, we do perinatal care, the Webster Technique, sports and rehab, have a few different tools to really accommodate the whole person, the whole family. Our massage and bodywork team is so talented. We have a range from Swedish, deep tissue, myofascial release, and then prenatal, postpartum, shiatsu. I don't know if you've experienced that, but it's one of my favorite modalities. And then, of course, holistic nutrition. I do muscle testing, but we have a few other providers that offer really great holistic nutrition support and coaching. We also have Reiki and cranial sacral, so more into that energetic realm of things. Mental health, QNRT, frequency and microcurrent sessions, which I mentioned. So that's assessing the bioenergetic field and then using frequency device and microcurrent to help bring that into coherence, into balance. And acupuncture, herbs, East Asian medicine. And we also have a really cool tool called a bioresonance scan. Often people seek this out if they're really feeling stuck in the Western model. It's a hair and saliva test that tests for nutrient deficiency, food sensitivities, underlying immune challenges, toxins, parasites. It's a really comprehensive test. So just so many tools that we can decide what is at the priority for the client and where to start, and so many options to pull from.
Yeah, it's just so cool how much is available in one space and for people to have those options. Well Connected exists to help you discover the practitioner that aligns with your values. We believe that finding the right fit should be simple and maybe even fun. When you visit wellconnectedtwincities.com, you can search for local practitioners by categories like chiropractic or herbalism, or you can search by condition or symptom in the directory to find practitioners of various healing modalities who can help. Discover over 100 local practitioners, browse articles, take classes, and listen to interviews by these very practitioners to learn who is the right fit for you. No matter what it is, we are here to help you say yes to the next stop on your healing journey. What are, would you say, some of those common reasons that someone might come to SuNu for support?
Because we really treat the whole family, whole person, like we are really looking at mind, body, spirit, how it's all connected. Really, anybody would benefit from at least a consultation to see if there's something that we could help with. But I would say commonly people seek us out for injuries or perinatal support. That's definitely one of the things we're known for, as well as just general pediatric care, as well as like tongue and lip tie. There's a lot that we can do with craniosacral to support that. We help with fertility, we help with allergies, asthma, ADHD, focus, neck and back pain, as you would assume, carpal tunnel, sinus issues, digestion, ear infections, headaches, migraines, back issues, obviously, but also like hormone balance. A lot of people it's like a buzzword all of a sudden, but really people are seeking out that support for either menstrual problems or menopause or just general stress. We help a lot of kids with learning stuff. We have support for colic and reflux for babies, support with skin issues, scoliosis, stress, car accidents, ringing in the ears. I could go on and on, but those are like a few reasons that in the last couple of years that I came to mind as far as why people seek out some alternatives. And for a lot of those things, the Western model just can only go so far. They only have so many tools to support. So it's really nice to have this big umbrella of things that we can look at, all the services that we have.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I know it's what don't you guys deal with? It's
If we don't have a service that fits with someone, we are really comfortable pulling from our comprehensive resource list. And a lot of them are in this community, in the well-connected community. So that is something that we really stand by. And people, I think, gain more trust that if we can't help, we'll find a resource and connect them with somebody who's a better fit.
Yes. And that's why it's so important to have these connections to be able to give authentic referrals. I'm glad that's also an important part of your practice. Would expect nothing less. With your clinic, I know that because there are so many different practitioners, so many different modalities, and even being able to refer internally within SuNu, there needs to be some way to stay connected, to have actual relationships within the community. How do you ensure that the providers at your clinic stay connected to each other for those authentic and aligned referrals?
Yeah, it's a great question, especially as we have grown and expanded. It's something that we have to be really intentional and mindful to make time for that. And we have systems to ensure that's happening. In the initial visit, regardless who they're starting with, we establish what their goals are, and then that practitioner draws up a plan with options to support the treatment plan. So, with our trusted team of practitioners across the two locations, we all actually share the same charting system. So, it's really nice. And we have really customizable intake forms and everything so that we are all speaking the same language. And the practitioners can collaborate on the plan through that shared patient chart, which is really nice. People tell us it's nice not to have to completely start over in their health history every time they see a new provider. I know that can be really frustrating. So in this way, referrals do really feel aligned. They feel genuine. They feel authentic. We're really trying to get the person the best care as possible while staying connected and collaborative in their care.
And that is so valuable because I think that can be a barrier to a lot of clients who just want to be able to get the services and not have to do intake after intake and share the same information again. And so, especially if you have something going on where getting to the root cause might be a little more challenging and you have to try different tests and different modalities, going somewhere like SuNu would make so much sense because you do that one intake and then you can find the right practitioner for you.
And just find that cohesive care. That's really what I think is missing in the Western model in a lot of cases is people get lost in the shuffle. And we hear that frustration. And that's something that I really think is important in this model for finding a clinic like this to find somebody who can be the patient advocate and guide them through.
Yeah. You mentioned something unique about SuNu that I really thought was amazing because typically with some of these holistic clinics, what happens is they're connected, but maybe a little more siloed in terms of their contracted workers and they have their own charting, their own systems. But you do things so differently, and where everyone's literally under employment of SuNu. It's one team, all cohesive. I just think it's really amazing that you have the patient, the client in mind in even the structure of the business.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. Thanks for noticing that.
Yeah, of course. It's really cool. So, like I said, it's just this radical model, and I'm excited that we can talk about it so that even other practitioners who are listening could even learn that this is possible.
Yeah,
You have a second location, like this is working, people.
thank you.
Yeah. I wonder for someone who's listening and they're just like, gosh, this does sound great. This is something I would love to get started with. What would that process look like?
So it's pretty easy to get started. You can view our schedule online and all the services, all the practitioners, read about their bio, read about their training, what their approach is like, and then just book right from there. A lot of people start that way where they just book their first visit with a provider. I think my neighbor said, or I need to try this thing or this person. Or a lot of people do start if they're just unsure of where to start, they'll call and just chat with one of our amazing admin team, give a little background on what they're looking for. And then we do offer a free 15-minute phone call with our providers to just answer questions, see if it feels like the right fit, or just get clarity on what service would be best to begin. Our admin team and our practitioners just really do genuinely care and they really strive to match people up with the service and the provider based on their preferences, based on what they're asking for, what their goal is. Regardless if it's SuNu or somewhere else, I do recommend finding a holistic clinic that offers, again, that patient advocacy to start with so they don't get lost in the system. They're really starting hitting the ground running.
So there is that first contact point with an advocate who can really line you up with the right service, the right provider. What a deluxe experience.
I feel like it should be the norm.
Wouldn't that be nice if
Yes.
that was the norm? This is a question that comes to mind too, because I know in my dream of dreams, hopes of hopes, that this would all be covered by insurance. What does it look like working with insurance at SuNu?
So our chiropractors are all in network with most insurance providers. We even accept like Medicare, Medicaid, most of the big plans. We're out of network with a few of the providers in Minnesota, but even for those folks, we do help get them reimbursed. We have HSA, we have a billing department to really support whatever we can help to make it accessible for everyone. We have a lot of options. We have sliding fee scale. We do really try to meet people where they're at so that this care can be truly accessible to anybody.
Ah, that's awesome. So it's not even just at the front end of having that advocate to support you, but even into your journey, if you're trying to figure out how to pay for things, there's someone there who's going to support you in getting reimbursed, support you in finding the right price point, being able
Mhm.
to really not be alone in this journey of getting healthier.
Exactly. Yes. Nobody
Mm.
wants to feel alone. We've got such a great community and support, and it's such a good team here. I'm really fortunate.
We're really fortunate that you started SuNu and decided that this dream was worth pursuing. And here we are. Just, I'm sure you've just touched so many lives and changed so many worlds of just what's possible. So I just really appreciate you sharing more about SuNu, about clearly something that you're passionate about and that you brought to life. So I have one final question before we leave. If there was one takeaway that listeners left this conversation with, what would you hope it would be?
Across the globe, we're starting to really just see that our health and our wellness depends on our structure and our function. And I really think that this alternative industry is going to be the leaders in healthcare in the future. Like I'm already seeing the trends after my 20 years in this business and really coming back to more of that ancient innate wisdom. So I'm already seeing it happening and seeing it being a little more in the mainstream conversation, but coming back to using food as medicine, looking at this frequency world. And that's really exciting to me. And I will
Mm.
say, if the listeners are looking for a couple practices that they could start right now, general things that you could literally do right now, get ample sunlight and fresh air, even when it's really cold, like it is today. It makes all the difference. We do this with my family, and I do it with a lot of the families that we treat, but trying to eat 30 different plants in a day. And once you start counting, it can be fun for kids and families, but really looking at that diversity to build the microbiome is really important. And then shopping organic and local and grass fed for those protein sources are also really essential. Exercise, but that doesn't have to be your New Year's resolution. That could be any movement, any little bit where you sweat a little bit, you take a walk in nature, maybe a little bit of dance party in the living room, anything, any kind of movement. It'll change your mental health, it'll change your mood. And then finding some stress reducing practices, as a lot of, I'm sure these listeners know, so, often people will have a meditation or a yoga or a breathwork practice. But sticking with that, even if it's like literally 3 minutes a day, it's going to be a game changer. And I would also just add one last little thing is paying attention to your media consumption. So, what feeds are you following? Are you really spending a lot of time watching the news? We want to really reduce stress and cortisol. So, trying to find a balance with that, which is a work in progress, I know. And of course, the last thing is to really find a holistic practitioner to support you in your health journey. We have so many options at SuNu, but there's tons across the Twin Cities as well. So find a holistic provider that you feel connected with, that you trust, that you feel listened to. And the Wealth Connected community has amazing offerings as well. And for your listeners, if you feel like this is a good fit and you're interested in learning a little bit more, we are offering $25 off your first session. So just mention the podcast and you can come sample us out.
I love that. All really important tips. And I think just that in itself is like the first step, right? The first medicine, just these lifestyle tools, being able to integrate that consistently. I will totally advocate for the movement piece. I can be in the crummiest mood. And if I run around and play with my dog, I'm just It's a whole new chapter.
Yep, exactly. You got to start. You just got to start somewhere.
Got to start somewhere. Thank you so much again, Dr. Susan Quigley. You are amazing. What you've created is amazing. And I'm just so grateful for you and SuNu and just all that your practitioners are doing.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate this conversation.
Thank you so much for listening to the Well Connected Twin Cities podcast. Did you learn something new? Did you feel that spark of hope and excitement for what is possible? Because so much is possible. Tell us about it in a review on Apple Podcast. Not only would we absolutely love hearing from you, but these reviews help our ratings and help other curious minds like you find this resource. We are always better together. Thank you again, and see you next time.